Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. And of course, you good old boys from Africa, from the Big C tribe. I think they beat us about 5,000 years ago, Big C. But you know we love Canada, and there's still no one we love more than you good old boys down south. In the land of the free, in the home of the brave, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys on a beautiful November the 14th, Big C?
Well, Charlton, in the words of former Alabama Senator, and current Attorney General of the United States, I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember, Big C. I cannot confirm or deny. In fact, I don't even know what confirm and deny mean, but I'm going to be the Attorney General, Big C. That work for you, good old boys?
It's working. I don't remember. I don't recall. That's the words coming out of Washington. You know what I'm saying about that, Charlton?
Yeah.
Here's a guy who destroyed the career of a young Alabama police officer who said, I don't remember, when he was the Attorney General of Alabama. Okay?
Yeah.
This is also a senator who helped draw up the bill to impeach former President Clinton.
Yeah.
When he said, I don't recall in his White House incident.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, he stated today that I don't recall 29 times
29?
in front of a Senate hearing under oath.
Yeah.
Where just 6 weeks ago he was in front of the House and said he did not have any involvement. He went from any involvement to I don't remember, and then today I remember it a couple of. So when you talk about perjury, Charlton, and here's a gentleman who helped destroy 2 careers based on perjury, and he has based his attorney generalship on perjury and not answering questions, Charlton. How can our U.S. government continue to operate when the leaders of our country are based everything on lies, regardless of their base, saying that their base believes them and follow them? You know, the lies are enough to destroy America, and this is a continuum. And, you know, how long can we operate with this? I mean, it's like looking at an NFL replay. And you know that the replay is a lie, and yet the officials will say, well, at this point, the play stands, or there's no
or they don't remember
irrefutable evidence and stuff. I don't remember why I went under the hood.
I don't remember what I saw. Just call it. They can always say they don't remember. In fact, I think a lot of good old boys down south and all around the world are going to start using that term. I don't remember. It's one of the best things you can do. And in fact, you know, most of them get that knowledge from an attorney. Ronald Reagan said, I don't remember. Ronald Reagan started that stuff too. They had Nixon on tape, so he couldn't say he didn't remember, but it was on tape. And then he said, it's not my voice, but we know sometimes it's live and sometimes it's memorized. I do want to say today is a beautiful November the 14th, 2017, and this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Big C sent you. So obviously, I haven't been able to follow much of what's going on, you know, in Washington, D.C., and I do think it's a shame, though, because most people are not dumb anymore. I know Jeff Sessions, they use their power to usurp the power of other people, and they use their power to intimidate other people. They've done that. But now he's on a world stage. He's not just back in some courtroom and down south, Big C. The whole world can see when people are not telling the truth. And if he is telling the truth, why wouldn't he just come out and say what happened? Because everybody already knows what these good old boys did, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, 6 weeks ago, he said he didn't even recall Papadopoulos, the guy that was indicted by Mo.
He didn't remember,
he don't recall. He doesn't recall any meeting with this guy. I've never seen him. You know, then today he said, based on news sources, he does remember now. You know, here's the guy. You're the Attorney General of the United States. And you have no memory of meetings that you have with either Russians or even staff members.
And Donald gave him a job.
and Donald you're in charge of lives in America. You're the #1 justice, or you're the #1 cop in America. Okay? And you have no recollections of meetings and conversations. You think about this, Charlton. He was also even asked today in his immediate staff is there any diversity in his staff? And he says he has no upper management diversity in his staff.
Wow.
He says his whole entire staff is white American.
Yeah.
That's what they represent as white America. He has no Hispanic diversity. He has no Latino diversity, no Asian diversity, no African American diversity. His entire staff is made up of white Americans, so they're not sensitive to the needs of this country. He said they concentrate and focus on one thing. That's white America's thoughts and feelings.
But Big C,
and so you think about that. That's tough for the justice system, Jonathan, and America to operate under. If you're the layman American minority, and knowing that you have no justice on your side in America, this is what you talked about in Stop and Frisk. This is what he's in charge of. He says, so every minority in America, this is what he said today. They're at risk. He said this under oath. He said, I don't care about diversity in America. This is a white-only country club.
Well, how did Ben Carson get the job? Do they think that, there was a time where this great comedian by the name of Dave Chappelle did a skit on some talk show, and they had a paper bag over his head. They used to do this paper bag test to see if you're in a house or a field person. If you get my drift. Okay, and so Dave Chappelle had a paper bag over his head, so he didn't know he was black, and he was racist against other black people too. And then when he realized that he was black and he's racist against himself, he didn't like himself. Big C, I think they would have given that good old boy a job. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you think about this, Charlton. You name Ben Carson, Director of Urban Housing and Development in America, okay?
The neurosurgeon, yes.
This is the guy who's a neurosurgeon. You know who his chief of staff is on his watch?
I don't remember.
This is the wedding planner for Ivanka Trump's wedding.
Wow.
He's his chief of staff. So you put a neurosurgeon as Director of Urban Housing Development in America. And then you take the director, a wedding planner, and make it his chief of staff. This is how serious, this administration takes the governing of America and its people, that you take a neurosurgeon. What does he know about urban housing development? He never grew through an urban neighborhood.
You don't think he still lives in it? You don't think he still lives in one, huh? He probably moved up.
Well, think about this. If you're a wedding planner, what urban wedding did you ever, set up deals for? Okay. What urban wedding did you go in and plan with your $100,000 bill? That you put on a wedding. You know nothing about that. You spent more on a wedding than these people spend on homes, Charlton. This is the thought process of America nowadays. And government.
And I think, unfortunately, we have a lot of young kids that can watch the news. And when people say, do you have respect for law enforcement? I think a lot of people do. But I would be very curious to see how law enforcement, the guys who actually protect our citizens at nighttime and daytime, how they feel about their top cop. I know so many police officers, they just think Jeff Sessions is a liar, just to be honest. This is coming from police officers, okay?
He stated that he was a liar today, Jonathan, 29 times.
No, he didn't remember.
He lied 29 times today. He didn't realize that he was saying that.
He said he didn't remember that he lied, Big C. That's what I thought.
No, he said he didn't recall. He said you can't hold him accountable for not recalling. Even though you're America's top cop. And you've convicted people. On saying the same things. Like I said, this young police officer in Alabama a couple of decades ago. That he convicted when he was a state attorney general. For making that same statement, I don't recall. And he destroyed this young man's career.
Does he recall?
A law enforcement, a guy who goes out on the street. So when people think that policemen are bad, they are not, Charlton. There's always bad in everything that you look at. But here's a young man who was doing the right thing and didn't recall what he had done in certain particulars of a case. But you also got the Attorney General sitting up saying the same thing. And he also helped draw up the impeachment papers on a former president who used the same statement that I don't recall. But I guess he would get anonymity and also, be pardoned by the current president if they went to file charges on him, which they could. They can file perjury charges on him, Charlton. He has to realize Robert Mueller is still in charge. Okay? And all of what he said in his last two incidents, these are situations that Robert Mueller, all he has to do is say, hey, here you go. He's been indicted.
And I think that is so, when we think about it, we may seem a little bit flippant at times, but I do think about the young kids that don't have any power. And for the most part, they're black and brown, the ones that Trump wants to keep out of the country or build a wall for. And when they get in front of the criminal justice system, the DA will usually say, okay, we know you're guilty. If you plead guilty, then you're going to get out in 2.5 years. You get out in a year with good behavior. But if we convict you, you're looking at 7 to 10 years. Now, which one are you going to do, boy? And a lot of these young, poor kids don't have a lawyer to represent them. So,
well, Charlton, the main thing is, he said, now look at this all-white jury over here.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
They believe that you're guilty right off the bat. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in here unless you had done something wrong.
Yep.
May not been this incident, but you've had to done something wrong in your life. You know, so we're going to convict you on something.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to convict you on something.
And for you good old boys that take a lie detector test, I've heard from one of the top lawyers and also someone who works in law enforcement, they already got you guilty. Don't take the lie detector test. Ask for a lawyer. No matter what you say, they would convict Jesus if he said anything, because when they ask you to take one, they already got the answer figured out. They want you to go to prison because they make money on privatized prisons. But Big C, I have to bring this up because when I look at Sessions and I think about the Kerner Commission that the late Lyndon Baines Johnson, former American president, had commissioned, he did it because this stuff that Sessions is doing was always there and he knew it. And it cost him a second term. But he did the right thing, okay? And it wasn't popular for the Southerners down south, but he knew the corrupt and the deceit that goes on in our criminal justice system. Now we get 2017 in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and we're trying to put a ban on Muslims, trying to put a ban on Mexican Americans. We're trying to turn back the Voting Rights Act, and now we have the top cop Sessions who can't remember anything. And how in the heck did he get to be the top guy and wants to do all these bans if he can't remember what he did, when he did it, who was there when he did it, and now he recalls it a year later? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charles, he doesn't remember how he became Attorney General. He doesn't recall.
He don't even know he's Attorney General.
He just woke up, he was in the position.
Yeah, that's a shame. So a lot of you good old boys, especially our white Americans who think that you're immune to this, well, you got something coming, because when you realize that they're trying to take away so many rights by killing health care first, it's going to affect middle-class American and also the poor white working class.
The thing they got to understand on that, you know, they think that Obamacare was made for black Americans. Okay, there's 52 million blacks in America. Okay?
Yeah.
There's 260 million whites in America.
Yeah.
All right? So let's do the math here. Who has the greatest share of Obamacare?
I don't remember, Big C. I'm like Sessions. I don't remember, Big C. I just don't remember.
So they complain that race card all they want and call it Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
But there are more white Americans on the Affordable Care Act than there are black Americans.
Yeah.
Because just based on number spirited, the number of people that have signed up, right off the bat, black Americans have the least number that are on it, Charles.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when you're talking about repealing something based on the color of it, Charles, that you want to label it, and you're going to hurt America, you're going to hurt white America more than you hurt anything else.
Yeah.
How do you explain to them that we took your health care away from you because we didn't like this black name that we labeled on?
We didn't want a black face with it.
That's the bottom line, what it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, you need to understand who's being affected the most. When they say Obamacare is deplorable, that it's bad, that it's imploding, you have a white Congress that could have fixed it and left it alone.
Yep.
You have a white Congress that could fix it and leave it alone, but that's not the thing. They want to eliminate anything that's tied to this black name.
Well, Mitch McConnell told us that.
How many white Americans they hurt?
Yeah.
But that's what they're hurting, Chuck.
Yeah, and that's a shame, because America's always been about the race angle has always been used by the majority, by the mainstream, to divide people. And for the most part, Jeff Sessions knows it works, because look at how divided the White House is right now. Just look at the skin complexion of everything. His staff.
His upper administration.
Yeah.
He has no diversity.
No.
His upper administrative staff is all white.
Yeah.
And he didn't want any diversity. He wanted people that looked and thought like him in his administrative staff.
Yeah, and we're the most diverse country supposedly on the face of the planet, but I guess it just depends on what group you run with. I do want to bring this up because I think it's so important, and I know that when you go outside of the United States, it doesn't matter who you are, so people think. Now, the thing that happened with the kids from UCLA's basketball team, and supposedly, shoplifting in China. Here's a country that murders their own people, a communist country, okay? So who are they to stand on some holy grail and say what's right and wrong? But I do want to give POTUS credit for one thing, whether people agree with it or not, is because of the consulate and also his asking that I believe those basketball players were released. Now, I want to give POTUS credit for that because he did do that. But the POTUS could have done the same thing for the Central Park 5. I know there's a reporter by the name of Britt McHenry who I think was put on leave by ESPN or the mothership for saying that some woman was ugly. This woman's bleached out blonde hair. She bleached her eye, bleached her hair, bleached everything so she can have that Aryan look because she knows that's the power structure in the United States. But she's also blasting black American athletes like LeBron James and Colin Kaepernick, trying to say that Donald Trump has more egalitarianism in him than they have. I know she doesn't read a lot because she's never heard of the Kerner Commission or the Central Park 5, but here she is saying we should praise Donald Trump for doing what he did with UCLA. Any American president should have fought for the freedom of any American citizen, but at the same time, it's a big political thing. Big C, I just want to get your thought. How come she doesn't know anything about women being grabbed by the vagina and all the women coming out of the woodwork? At the same time, here's a president that he espouses sexual assault, and here she is a woman, even though she's bleached out her hair and everything else. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that lets you know how narrow-minded a thinker that she is.
Yeah.
That she's a puppet.
Yeah.
You know, here it is. You have all these women coming out being empowered. You think about this, Charlton.
Yeah.
These women have come out being empowered in the past year since Colin Kaepernick's actions,
yep.
okay?
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick's stand for social injustice meant that women were being abused by men. That's a social injustice.
Yeah.
So someone who doesn't correlate that, a la, you know, peanut-minded Chris McHenry, formerly the mothership, that's how narrow-minded people thinking. Social injustice is sexual assault on women.
Yep.
And them being squashed, Charlton, where they were intimidated not to testify or report these things.
Yeah.
As you look at this come out and evolve more and more, Charlton, these actions have occurred since Colin Kaepernick stood for social injustice. And when people think that sexual assault on women is not social injustice, it was brought to the forefront by this former NFL quarterback who has made the ultimate sacrifice, Charles, for his stance. He was voted Citizen of the Year by GQ magazine. I know Chris McHenry does not agree with that. But he has to look at the overall impact. I know what J.J. Watt did in the city of Houston, okay? To help those people, which is a great humanitarian aid. But you're putting that on one athlete in one city, okay? What Colin Kaepernick did was national and global, Charles. Not just in one city, not thinking about just one region, even though the hardship of those people in the city of Houston is great. Think about the hardship of those Americans down in Puerto Rico, Charles. No one is raving about who assisted down there. But what Colin Kaepernick did was try to stem the flow. Not a one-time event, Charlton, of a natural disaster that has occurred in America over the decades. And that is still occurring. That's what Colin Kaepernick has brought attention to. You think about it. How often is Houston talked about, Charlton, now in the news? You don't hear about it. Okay? But you still hear about Colin Kaepernick's actions every day. That's when we talk about we must have a conversation. Colin Kaepernick still creates that conversation every day in America, whether it's about him potentially getting back into the NFL. We constantly talk about social reform. We had Jeff Sessions on TV today lying about social reform.
Does McHenry know that? I don't think Miss McHenry knows that. She's also a reporter that covers black American athletes for the most part. You know, the guys have been...
That's how she's earned her living.
That's how she's earned her living.
She would have no job.
Covering black men who are racially profiled. Now she's going to tell them that they're stupid because they don't applaud the guy that wants to do stop and frisk on their kids. What a knucklehead person. Also, this is the same guy that told Megyn Kelly, who also looks a lot like McHenry, that she's bleeding out of all of her body parts. What an insult to all women. I mean, he's even an insult to McHenry, and she's too ignorant to even know the insult's coming to her and people who look like her.
What's that analogy? Dumb blonde?
I can't remember. I don't remember what it's called, Big C. I'm like Sessions.
I heard something about that. I mean, it's to the teeth. So, you know, when you talk about, you know, somebody not defending women, we have a president who does not defend women.
No.
Here's the Senate race that's going on in Alabama where the current attorney general was a former senator in that same state and backing this guy who was trying to take his Senate seat, Charlton, his former Senate seat, who has been accused by at least a half a dozen teenage girls of sexual assault.
Does McHenry know that? Does that lady McHenry, I guess she's been bleaching her hair too much and starting to go into her brain, but does she know that these guys that she loves so much have assaulted women and women have actually filed lawsuits against them and she's praising this same knucklehead guy?
Well, you know, that's the amazing thing that I see the president. The president hasn't knocked this guy in any kind of way, saying, well, he needs to get out of the race if he's committed sexual assault on these young girls.
Yeah.
Because that's his M.O. He's done that many times and bragged about it.
Yeah.
So you think about it, of all the politicians, we have the president of the United States, the leader of the Republican Party, has not bashed this guy for sexual assault on these young girls.
Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing. Here it is. And they say, well, he's out of the country and hasn't had a chance to pay attention to it, Charlton. He's had a chance to pay attention to it. He knows exactly what's been going on. Matter of fact, he was in Alabama when he called the black players in the NFL SOBs backing this guy.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. McHenry doesn't.
Rally he was at in Alabama calling the African American players in the NFL SOBs. He was at this molesters rally, helping him out.
And McHenry, you can Google that. It's that little blue G on your phone. If you hit that and say a question, it will actually give you the answer. You can Google it for yourself. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports, whether you're a pro athlete, a collegiate team, or your high school teams, even your mom and pop soccer leagues. And when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. So for the guys at UCLA, Big C, I want to get your thoughts on this. I know every nation, every country has their own rules. And I want to ask you, for these athletes, I think what's going to happen is they will probably be expelled from school. And even though it's an oxymoron for the NCAA to expel anybody, because they've been stealing billions of dollars from athletes but not paying them, yet their athletic budget's $1 billion. UCLA, the great UCLA fight, received $200 million from Under Armour to make these athletes for free wear their merchandising, yet the kids go out and steal maybe a $1,000 piece of merchandise, and that's wrong. But what's the greatest harm? $200 million? Getting free labor, or someone stealing a $1,000 watch or sunglasses? Big C, my math is not all that great. I don't remember what I learned. I did not learn, but give me your thoughts, Big C. What's more egregious?
Well, Charlton, they're both egregious. But a crime is a crime.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful when you're not in a democratic society and understand the laws of a foreign country.
Yeah.
And to think that you can go someplace and commit the crimes in a foreign country that you commit here, you cannot do it.
No.
You know, I give a little credit. I don't give him praise. I give a little credit to the president, you know, for, you know, speaking over at least to the consulate about getting
he did that right.
Released.
He did that right. I give him credit.
There's a double standard NCAA-wise, okay?
Yep.
But let's be realistic. And I'm going to take you back several years to one of your favorite teams, the Dallas Cowboys, okay?
I don't remember, really. Are they in Texas?
There's a player.
Yeah.
That plays wide receiver for them named Dez Bryant.
Yeah.
All right? Former All-Pro guy.
Yeah.
Played at Oklahoma State, wide receiver.
Yeah.
Lost his senior year, Charlton, because he had dinner at Deion Sanders' house.
Wow.
Okay? He didn't commit a crime.
Nope.
He had dinner.
He was hungry.
Deion Sanders' house.
He was hungry.
He had a steak.
Yep.
Deion Sanders, maybe some fried chicken. All right?
Yeah.
But he lost his senior year of eligibility behind that.
Yeah.
Now, you got players who potentially committed a felony in a foreign country.
Yep.
And you're saying, well, they should get just a couple of games suspension. No, Charlton. They should have their NCAA eligibility yanked.
It will be.
Period.
Yeah.
Point blank. They shouldn't get no, they're only going to get a 10-game suspension.
You think so?
That's all they're going to get. They're going to get a 10-game suspension.
Yeah.
Because they're going to say it happened in foreign soil.
Yeah.
Okay, now the NCAA, to follow status quo, they have to eliminate their college eligibility.
Yeah.
Because of this incident. If I'm Dez Bryant, I'm watching this closely.
Yeah.
Although it's been years. I don't know if the statute has run out.
Yeah.
But it's been years.
Yeah.
Because if they don't yank their eligibility like they did Dez Bryant, then I'm coming back suing. And we know that the money that the NCAA has.
Yeah.
This is an open and shut case. This is one you settle out of court.
Well,
because you can't give Dez enough money, even though he's well paid by the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Charlton, this is a miscarriage of justice. If you're going to take his eligibility his senior year for having dinner with somebody, and you have 3 young men who commit felonies on a foreign soil, representing that NCAA institution, Charlton, and you're still under their supervision, they cannot play college basketball again, Charlton. I understand that people say, well, everybody deserves a second chance.
Yeah.
This is a situation, and it's twofold for UCLA. They eliminate the Ball family. They get Lorenzo Ball, Lonzo Ball, whatever the damn name is, out of their hair.
Yeah.
Okay? they're already in problems with Under Armour. Under Armour doesn't like it because of this big baller brand, and he's interfering. And you think about the comments made.
Yeah.
He said his sons can never win a championship with all these slow white guys at UCLA.
Oh, really?
So now you don't have to worry about his sons winning a championship at all.
Yeah.
You know, the championship they got was getting out of prison for free.
You know, and ironically, the bald daddy said it's no big deal, which was a knucklehead thing to say when your kids are
in locked up. Your son committing a felony on foreign soil is no big deal.
Yeah.
Because of his big stupid mouth, Charlie.
Yeah.
This is the reason why they have to be expelled from the university,
yeah.
and rip the all NCAA probability of ever playing again.
Yeah, and I think you're right.
You think about what Tommy Hines and Lee Evans did in the '68 Olympics in Mexico.
Yeah.
They were amateur athletes from San Jose State, okay?
Yep.
All they did was raise their fists there. They didn't steal anything.
No.
They were banished from amateur athletics for life, from the '68 Olympics, just raising their fists there, speaking about social injustice in America. White America didn't want to hear it then. They don't want to hear it now.
Yeah.
But these kids, and I'm not blasting them because they're African American or anything else. If you're a criminal, you're a criminal. But Dez Bryant lost his eligibility at Oklahoma State.
Yep.
His senior year, wide receiver, one of the top receivers in the country, lost his eligibility for having dinner at Deion Sanders' house.
Because he was hungry.
He didn't steal a meal.
No.
He just got a free meal. He didn't pay for it. He wasn't paid. All he did was get a free meal.
Yeah.
And lost his eligibility. He didn't go steal $1,000 pair of sunglasses.
And that's a shame because and Big C Sports is really the only show that talks about it on a continuous basis. Other people might do a 10-minute segment on it, but even with the college basketball starting tonight, there's a lot of marquee programs playing from Duke. I think Kansas and a lot of other big programs are playing tonight, and it's all free. You know, FR. I can't remember how the last two, but FR something. I can't. I'm like Jeff says. I can't remember how to spell free.
Well, it has one of the letters in money. No money involved for the players.
No money that goes into the bank anyway. But there's something involved for somebody. Big C. Rick Pitino wasn't the only one. Come on, let's be real about that. But I do think for the NCAA to get on this high horse about who did something wrong, and they've been stealing money for years. You just brought up a great example. One more thing I want to touch on for the world of college. I think also behind the kids from UCLA being released is because Alibaba, which is one of the biggest corporations in the history of the universe, they sponsored the Pac-12, signed an agreement to have teams play in China. UCLA just played Georgia Tech. I think they have basketball courts between Georgia and California, but somehow these good old boys couldn't find a court without flying over to China, and that's sponsored by Alibaba. So could you imagine if the Pac-12 says, look, we know something happened was wrong, but you guys killed your own citizens. If you don't let these kids go, we're going to end that contract. And they would lose face, Big C, because Alibaba sponsored the Pac-12 coming over there. But does that make any sense at all? Much more than what Donald Trump did, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is about free trade. This is what it's about. It wasn't about Trump getting somebody released. Everybody's going to say he spoke. Also,
money spoke. It was the money.
He has to look at his dirt that he dealt with China. Okay?
Yeah.
His daughter, clothing line and all her accessories come out of China, okay?
Where?
So when you talk about
hold on, Big C. I know sometimes I don't listen and I talk too fast. I thought they made only in America. Didn't Don King say only in America? You say her stuff's made in China?
Everything that Ivanka Trump, the president's daughter, in her accessory and clothing line comes out of the country of China. When he talked about cutting imports, you think about that. After he became president, he realized, all of my daughter's stuff comes out of there. So we can't cut that line off. That's why he became a lot softer with China once he became president, because he didn't want to disclose that all of his daughter's clothing line and accessories come out of the country of China.
Well, does McHenry...
That's a big part of getting those players released.
Does McHenry know that, though, Big C, or does she just think he's such a great person?
He most likely wears part of their clothing line, Charlie, for making those statements. Probably gets its comp.
I hear they
when you think about it.
I hear they make a lot of hair dye also that comes out of China. Just you might want to read the label of the stuff she's putting in her system. I do want to say, again, for the parents, no matter who you are, you know, it's great to have. Could you imagine what an 18, 19-year-old boy is going through when you're in a foreign country and you're detained? And I know it happens in the United States too. So I know a lot of atrocities go on.
Look how many minority Latinos are detained here in America. Put in detention. They're not allowed to stay in the Hyatt Regency. Okay?
No.
These kids stayed in the Hyatt Regency. They weren't in jail.
No.
So don't think about them being retained.
Yeah.
They were in a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
They were not in a jail cell where you or I would have been if we had been caught stealing Louis Vuitton $1,000 shades. Okay?
Yep.
That's where we would have been. So they got a chance to stay at the 5-star Ritz-Carlton in China.
Yeah.
So they weren't suffering. They had room service.
Yeah.
They weren't sitting in a jail cell eating bologna sandwiches, all right?
Wait, hey, don't laugh at my bologna. Wait, hold on, Big C. Bologna sandwiches, that's all we have to eat when you guys order all that red meat from California for the Georgia and Alabama game or whatever game you guys are ordering for.
So I'm not feeling sorry for them, y'all.
No.
Look in the prisons around here in America, okay?
Yeah.
Look how many young African-American men are locked up in prison for stealing less than $1,000, okay?
Yeah.
Think about it. I want to take you back to Ferguson, Missouri a few years ago.
Yeah.
Where a young man, Donald Brown, lost his life.
Yep.
For stealing a box of cigars.
Yeah.
$32 worth of cigars.
Yeah.
He was killed for a box of cigars. I want to take you back to the kid, Eric Graves in New York.
Yep.
Selling cigarettes on the street.
Yeah.
Okay? He lost his life for selling cigarettes. Okay? African American.
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin walking home with a bag of Skittles and a soda.
Yeah.
Okay? Lost his life. African American. So when we think about these privileged athletes who get everything, Charlton, and you're at UCLA, you're on the top universities on the West Coast, okay?
Yeah.
You're getting everything. You're getting to fly to China and play basketball for free.
Yeah.
You're on the university's dime. And so you're not really wanting for anything.
Nope.
So what you did in that act of going into a store committing a burglary, Charlton, that's not a student athlete. That's a student thug, okay?
Well,
I'm not praising these kids, and I'm not giving them a pass.
I agree.
Because what they did was a criminal act.
Yeah.
And that's why I say if UCLA keeps them on, then UCLA, the administration needs to go at UCLA.
I agree, because that's a bad example to say, okay, you can get a steak dinner, we got to get rid of it. You can go across country, you can go across the world and steal something in a foreign country, and we're going to get you a 10-day punishment. I think it's just something we can't allow, and I know it's a bad precedent. But at the same time, Big C, the NCAA is crooked, and we all know that. So how does a crooked person?
There's inmates running the asylum when you think about the NCAA.
Yeah.
The NCAA is a crooked horse.
Yeah.
Okay, period.
Yep.
Everybody knows that it's been dirty.
Yeah.
But, the athletes are put under a different scrutiny because the majority of them
are
minority athletes, Sharpen.
Yep.
So they're put under a different scrutiny. But don't make it bad for the rest of the African-American athletes who are not doing anything bad, okay?
Yeah.
This ball kid, the reason why they're getting so much publicity because his dad's big mouth.
Yeah.
Okay? If he wasn't involved in it, nobody probably would have known about it. But since it was the ball kid, you think about it, every time it's mentioned, it's the ball kid and two others.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
That's how it's introduced, because of his dad's big mouth.
Yeah.
And this is a way to eliminate his dad from the scene and all of it, y'all.
Well,
just be gone with it. I don't say that any kid should lose his, chance at better opportunity.
Yeah.
But Charlton, they made a cognizant decision of what they did. They weren't forced into it.
No,
and think about it. You have a TV reality show, so you're not broke.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, we all know money doesn't matter how much money you have. When you're in a foreign country, you just can't do certain things. Big C, I want to close up by just saying that there's so much that goes on in the world of sports, and this is really, it can go two ways. This can go two ways because for every young kid, no parent knows what their child is doing when they are not away. I mean, when they're away from the home. You don't know what your kids are doing. No one knows. But for every young kid that thinks you can get away with stealing things, you're going to get caught because everything's on camera. So it's best just to not do it. If you're the kind of person that's so weak that you hang out with dumb kids who say, come on, man, you can do it, you can get away with it, then you probably just rethink what you're doing, because not everybody has the backing of the Pac-12 conference with the pressure on Alibaba to get those kids out of the country. If not, we're going to cancel our basketball contract with the Pac-12 coming to China every year. And you can Google that for all you guys who think Trump did it. No, it's bigger than Trump. It's about money. They were coming home because there was a lot of money to lose. I'm proud of Trump for finally doing something right. But I think he was just grandstanding, because he could have shown the same decency for the Central Park 5. And that lady that bleaches her hair, she can Google that too. He got a full-page ad to have them sent to prison and the death penalty administered. And these are 5 innocent black boys. I don't think McHenry knows that. Maybe she's like Sessions. She don't remember that, Big C. Your thoughts on that, Big C?
Well, you recall what you want to recall, Charlton. When I think of all this blasphemy that goes around through the media here in the United States, whether it's in athletics, whether it's in mainstream media, the blasphemy of the African American, Charlton, and how white America is looked at in a different light. It's almost like we looked at a deplorable shooting in Vegas almost 2 months ago, Charlton.
Yeah.
Where we had a white man shoot 800 Americans, okay?
Yeah.
But it wasn't a terrorist act, Charlton. It was not a terrorist act.
He didn't call that, but it was.
We had a white man in a church in Texas 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That shoots almost over 30 people, Charlton. It wasn't a terrorist act, Charlton. But we had a guy in New York that runs down some Americans on the street.
Yeah.
That was a terrorist act. Then in Northern California today, Charlton, we had another crazed white man that goes into a school and starts shooting, Charlton.
Today?
Okay, he shoots 5 today. He kills 5 people today in Northern California. About a mile up in Santa Clemente or whatever. It's about an hour and a half north of Sacramento.
Yeah.
He goes out and commits a shooting today. They eventually kill him. But then, once again, he's not a terrorist because he's a white man. And his neighbor said he goes in with these multi-capacity magazines and an assault rifle, Charlton, and a couple of handguns. And he kills 5 people today in Northern California and wounds 8.
Wow.
And he went to a school and shot at a school. Charlton, when are these white Americans not terrorists? That's the point that I'm so frustrated about.
Well,
now, since this craziness of the White House that we have about let's take things back the way they used to be, when we could go out and kill people and no one would do anything or say anything against us. This is what the president spoke about doing when he was running his campaign. And then when he's like, let's rough them up. These people have taken a stance. And when these neo-Nazis in Charlottesville ran down people on the street in cars, he said that they were good people. I have looked at the white action since Charlottesville, Charlton, here in America, of the white men that are killing people in droves. Okay? And no one is saying that they're terrorists. They are white terrorists, Charlton.
And
the minute that the media speaks up about this, maybe everyone will get a grasp because people say, well, not in our neighborhood, Charlton. It's all over America since Trump has become president. Google it, as you say, Google. Look how many mass shootings there have been in less than a year that Trump has been president of the United States compared to the previous 4 years in America prior to him becoming president, Charles.
And that's a good point. I have to bring this up because it is real talk. And I remember during the speech, because a lot of kids are asking, what do they do now? Because a lot of kids play sports, and they want to know how you conduct yourself, whether you're in the United States or in a foreign country. And there's a lot of Hispanic, because California is so diverse, there's a lot of Hispanic of the population here, and they're hurt and they're offended by him saying that Mexicans are rapists and murderers, because he's labeling their family members. And he also says that black, fire the SOBs for the NFL if they stand up for Black Lives Matter. And then also he had this Muslim ban. He has banned everybody but white nationalists. He hasn't put a ban on them at all. In fact, he hired Steve Bannon. So I hope that by talking about this, we could get people to stop being afraid. And I'm glad that women are coming out and saying, hey, someone grabbed me by the vagina, and that's not acceptable. No woman should have to put up with that garbage. At the same time, the president never defends them.
They were empowered by Colin Kaepernick. That's that social reform that Colin Kaepernick has talked about. These women, and these have been white women coming out. And so it doesn't make any difference what the race of the woman is, John.
Women are women.
But they have been white women that have been empowered by Colin Kaepernick about social injustice. Sexual assault and misconduct on a woman, that's social injustice, Charlton. This is what Colin Kaepernick talked about. Social reform, social injustice. This has all been led away by GQ Citizen of the Year, Colin Kaepernick, Charlton.
That's a very good point, Big C. So hopefully we can all keep everybody safe. We can't keep our head in the sand about it. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bondini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, the NBA is streaking right now when you look at certain teams. Last night we talked about Golden State, 7 consecutive victories. Right now tonight, I'm looking at the Boston Celtics, who's on a heater, looking for their 13th consecutive victory in a row, Charlton, in this young NBA season.
Well, I tell you what, they are playing good basketball back on the East Coast, and they're playing good basketball all over the country. I do want to say that every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence or sexual assault. If you know any woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no woman should have to deal with that garbage all on her own. And as we tell you on every Big C sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.